Hey everybody, Shoebox Legends here. Thanks for joining me today for another episode. And in this installment, we're going to take a look at some cards stored in a cheese box. So a little bit of background here. I did a video recently where I showed this box that I picked up at an antique store while shopping with my wife on vacation recently. Realized it was the perfect size box to store cards and top loaders, particularly vintage cards and vintage size top loaders, and decided that it would house my 1954 Bowman set build, which is what I have in here now. So talked about that in a recent rummage video. If you want to see the contents of this box, you can check that video out. But in the comments section, and even over text with a buddy of mine, Doug over at Decon, had a couple conversations related to just non-standard cardboard storage in general, or card storage in general. And I like to find unique ways to store my cards, like that glow box that we just saw there. Obviously, the bulk of my collection is, housed in monster boxes, plain old cardboard, like probably a lot of us. But I try to find some unique storage items to keep around my hobby room and home office, just to keep things a little more aesthetically pleasing. And one of those you've probably seen in the background of almost all of my videos, certainly my videos over the last year, this Wilson certified box. And I'm actually going to grab this today and bring it to the foreground so we can get a look at it, what's been hiding back there this whole time. And as you can read, this box initially back in the day held pasteurized processed cheese from Wilson's Certified. Don't know the history of them as an organization or anything like that, but found this similarly at some type of antique shop back in the day, and ultimately realized that, boy, it holds cards in penny sleeves and top holders perfectly. Downside is, dust can accumulate on the top of this because it is open, but it sure looks a lot nicer having this on my desk than a gray cardboard box. And what's cool about this, what you see in here, and you can kind of tell based on these little telltale white receipts, this contains cards that I picked up on ComC. So when I get a delivery from ComC, I'll just take a chunk of cards out of the box and just stick them in here. And when I get bored or I want to do a ComC rummage, I can just pull cards out of here and add them into my collection, in my organized collection, my inventory, track them, etc. So over time, you kind of forget what's in here, and it's almost like a surprise, like value box or something in your own hobby room. So I figured for today was a chance to show this box off and then maybe do a little ComC rummage while we do it. So I'm just going to kind of pull cards from this box, as is always the case with a ComC rummage. This will be the cheese box version, and we'll just pull until we get to, 10 or 15 minute mark and want to call it there. These are going to be from all different periods of time, some newer, some older. It's a newer one, you can tell by the paper receipt, but here's a Bogart's refractor from 2021 Topps Chrome. So that one is headed right for the Xander Z after the filming of this episode. And I love the contrast there between the old decrepit cheese box and the new shiny Topps Chrome refractor. So that's awesome. There's probably plenty of Xander and Devers cards in here, I would assume. Here's a beauty. Love all 50s Bowman. Obviously, we saw a little bit of 54 Bowman to start the episode. Here's a 51 Jim Hearn. Love the image on this, as I do pretty much all 50s Bowman. I've mentioned a few times recently to friends and in comments, but I'm not sure that Bowman produced a single bad looking baseball card in the whole time that they had a license throughout the 50s. I just love every 1950s Bowman baseball card. And that one, even though it's a little beat up, still happy to have it. Here's kind of a rare Xander. This is an early career insert called Cutting Edge Stars out of Bowman Platinum. I believe it's a 2014. It is indeed. So this is a rookie year insert, but this parallel, and I don't know what it's named because obviously I'm just drawing at random here, and I picked this one up a long time ago, but this parallel is numbered out of just 49. Has like this rainbow foil quality to it. So I'll have to do a little bit of research on tcdb.com when I press the stop button on today's video, just to kind of determine exactly what that is. But pretty cool shiny Bogart's insert there, and of course die cut as well. So goes nicely with that refractor that we saw at the beginning of the video. And as I said, the Xander PC will be getting a nice little injection as I make my way through this box. Here's another vintage card. So we're kind of hopping back and forth here between modern and vintage. This is from the 1957 Parkhurst release. Jim Morrison, defenseman for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Don't really know anything about him, but if I see any 50s hockey card, there really aren't a lot of them. And if I see them, for just a few bucks or less in good condition like this one, I'm kind of tempted to scoop them up. Probably will never finish any 50s Parkhurst set, but just any card that old, I'm a huge fan of. So grab that because I think it was like $3 or $4. He's not a Hall of Fame player or anything, but if you like vintage, can't go wrong with Parkhurst hockey. Here's a buyback. That will probably surprise nobody. This is one of the Heritage 50th Anniversary box topper buybacks. In this case, from the 2013 Heritage release, which featured 1964 Topps cards stamped and inserted back as box toppers. So it's a nice Jim Grant there for the Indians. Love the pose, love the hat and the logo. Just an awesome buyback card. So this will go into the stack of buybacks that I need to evaluate for the Franken set, which I'm building, which is a set of all buyback cards numbered 1 through 792, and I hope to show that off soon. And to follow up on that, here's another of the Heritage buybacks. This is a 2016 version, which features 1967 Topps, and it's a Red Sox card on top of that, so really love this John Wyatt. And again, this was probably like $1 or even less than $1 on ComC, and I'm just a really big fan of these box toppers. So happy that at the conclusion of the video today, I'll have an excuse to take out the buyback Franken set and do some comparing. Here's a fun card. I've shown plenty of these over time, but this is a Topps Chrome Sapphire Edition Bartolo Colon. And a couple things that are awesome about this, aside from the fact that, big sexy Bartolo Colon was just a very fun player to watch and a fun and cheap player to collect. But I love the Sapphire with the Mets team colors. It just works really, really well. And on top of that, this is from the first ever Topps Chrome Sapphire release in 2016. And in this year, they were released as factory sets of Sapphire, and Topps only produced 250 of them. So even though 2016 Chrome Sapphire is not serial numbered, you can rest assured that each of these cards, there are only 250 of them in circulation. So kind of a cool, cheap addition to a PC that I don't take all that seriously, but a guy that I just have a lot of fun collecting. I haven't bought a Bartolo Colon card in ages, but I used to pick him up every once in a while. Here's a guy who's long gone from the Red Sox. I picked this up probably 3 years ago or longer when I was more into like team collecting. But these inserts in general were really, really cool. They're called like Bowman is Back. And I think they were inserted in a few different Bowman products in 2018, if I remember. So they were in like Bowman Flagship, Bowman Sterling, Bowman Prospects. There's a bunch of different Bowman sets. And they kind of spread these inserts out across multiple sets. There is a Mookie Betts version of this, which is kind of like a rookie year card that's pretty desirable. I used to have one, but I sold it a few years ago. But this is Blake Swihart, backup catcher for Boston, was since dealt away, and I'm not even sure if he's still playing in Major League Baseball. I would guess that he isn't, but cool looking shiny Red Sox card nonetheless. Not sure if I'll keep that one in the PC. I may send that off to a Red Sox friend of mine instead. Here is an awesome insert. So these were included in the 1994 Flair baseball set. And let me get this out of the top loader here. The penny sleeve here. So that was the second year that Flair made a baseball set, and it was very, very high end at the time. Flair baseball, the cards came in, each pack was a little individual box. They were just really classy, high gloss cards. And in the first set, 93, there was only one insert, Wave of the Future, which were cool. But in the second set in 94, they stepped up the insert game and they made these beautiful die-cut hot glove inserts. And here we have Greg Maddux of the Atlanta Braves. I don't recall the insertion ratios on these, but they're some of my favorite 90s inserts, period. They're just absolutely gorgeous. I love the thought of the die-cut glove. And they've even got the stitching cut around here and everything. In hand, if you've never held one of these in hand, they're just really, really gorgeous. For a long time, they weren't that expensive. I do think they've probably gone up, as almost everything in the hobby has. over the last year or two, but I, at some point in my collecting lifetime, would aspire to have that entire 10-card insert set in my collection. So happy to have Greg Maddux to include on that front. And then next, let's go to the back of the box. So I noticed in this section, it might be hard to tell on video, all of these are a little bit taller, and that's because I think these are all oversized vintage cards that I've picked up on ComC over time. So these will probably all be like set build needs. So let's take a peek. And wow, we struck with a really good one here to start things out. Check it out, 1953 Bowman color, Sam Jethro. This is a gorgeous card. Take a look at the back. An incredible player and human being, and one of the few examples in my collection of a 53 Bowman color. I've been really focusing on 53 tops, and I am building that set, so Bowman has kind of been a little bit neglected. But as with most vintage collectors, I love this set. The color and the photographs are just gorgeous. The simplistic, just simple border design really just lets you fully appreciate the photo. And this is, you know, a great subject, a great card, and it's really in great condition too. I can remember picking this up on ComC. It was probably about 2 years ago. Stumbled across this. It was about $4.75. I didn't even fuss around trying to make an offer at all. I just bought it immediately at $4.75 because it's just gorgeous. So we're gonna end it there because I don't think I'm gonna be able to top this one with the next card that I would probably pull out of this box. So we'll call it at the 53 Bowman Sam Jethro, and that is going to be the little rummage of this processed cheese box here on the channel. So I hope you enjoyed at least a couple of these random ComC pickups and a look at my non-standard storage mechanism for ComC cards. Really appreciate you stopping by, and I'll certainly be back in the very near future with some more sports card content. Until then, take care and enjoy the hobby.